Welcome to the Bible Sayings channel. In this Christmas Eve special, we are invited to quiet our hearts and reflect on the night that preceded the greatest event in history. Before the light, there was waiting. Before the fulfillment, there was a promise. This text leads us to that moment marked by silence, expectation, and the faithfulness of God when the world did not yet know, but heaven had already decided to act. May this message prepare your heart to understand the true meaning of Christmas and to recognize that even in the silence, God continues to work. That night, the world seemed the same as every other night. Houses were closed, streets were silent, and the heavens were still. Nothing indicated that something extraordinary was about to happen. And yet, that would be the night that changed the course of history forever. The eve of Jesus' birth was not marked by trumpets, public announcements, or great human celebrations. It was marked by silence, a deep silence, heavy with expectation, promise, and hope. For centuries, the people of Israel waited. There was a time when God spoke frequently through prophets, kings, and servants. But then, silence came. For approximately 400 years, there were no new recorded revelations, no prophets raising their voices, no new words coming from heaven. The people continued living, suffering, struggling, and waiting. Many wondered if God was still paying attention. But God's silence was never absence. It was preparation. The prophet Isaiah had announced that the people walking in darkness would see a great light, Isaiah 9:2. He also declared that unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, Isaiah 9:6. Micah prophesied that out of Bethlehem would come the one who would rule Israel, whose origins are from of old, from ancient times, Micah 5:2. The words were cast into history, but the fulfillment seemed far off. Meanwhile, the world followed its course. Empires rose and fell. God's people lived under foreign domination. Rome exercised power, collected taxes, and imposed laws. Messianic hope remained alive but mixed with frustration and weariness. Few imagined that God's answer would come wrapped in simplicity, humility, and silence. Christmas Eve teaches us that God works even when we see no obvious signs. The sky seemed closed, but the plan was in motion. Every detail was being carefully led. The Apostle Paul wrote that when the set time had fully come, God sent his Son, born of a woman, born under the law. Galatians 4:4. The fullness of time is not measured by human anxiety, but by the perfection of divine purpose. That night, a young woman named Mary carried the living promise of God in her womb. She was not in a palace. She had no public recognition. Yet, she had been chosen to participate in the greatest act of love in history. Joseph walked beside her, silently carrying the weight of responsibility and obedience. Both obeyed without fully understanding everything that was to come. They were heading to Bethlehem because of an imperial decree. The world saw only a political decision. God saw the exact fulfillment of an ancient prophecy. Even the acts of the powerful were used to align history with his eternal purpose. Bethlehem was full. There was no room for them in the inn. The Son of God was not born surrounded by comfort, but by simplicity. A stable, a manger, animals. Nothing in that scene matched human expectations of greatness. And yet, there was the King of the universe, wrapped in cloths, lying in an unlikely place. Christmas Eve invites us to stop and contemplate this contrast. God could have chosen any setting, but he chose the silence of the night and the humility of a stable. This teaches us that God does not depend on what is grand in our eyes to accomplish what is eternal. While the world slept, heaven moved. Christmas Eve speaks to the heart of everyone living through periods of waiting, those who pray and see no immediate answers, those who feel God is silent. This night reminds us that God's silence does not mean he has forgotten us. Often it means something much greater is being prepared. Christmas Eve is an invitation to trust when we do not see, to trust when we do not understand. Jesus' birth did not begin with lights or applause. It began with a quiet night, a mother in labor, and a father protecting his family. And that is exactly how God continues to act. often far from the noise and human expectations. The Gospel of John declares that the Word became flesh and dwelt among us, 1:14. But before that truth was proclaimed, it was lived in silence. Christmas Eve also teaches us about inner preparation. Before the full joy, we are invited to contemplation. It is a night that asks for silence, not just around us, but within us. Maybe today you are living your own Eve, waiting for an answer, a direction, an intervention. Christmas reminds us that God is present even when we don't perceive Him. He works behind the scenes of history. No promise is forgotten. That night, the world did not know, but God was closer than ever. Heaven had touched earth. Eternity had entered time. It all began in silence. May we learn to value the silence that prepares the glory and the waiting that precedes the fulfillment. Christmas begins in silence, but it ends in light, and that light never goes out. We have reached the end of another Bible sayings for today. May the message inspire and strengthen your faith. We hope this portion of the Word has touched your heart. To continue receiving these daily moments of reflection, subscribe to the channel, leave your comment about what impacted you the most, and don't forget to share so more lives can be reached by the Word. We are counting on you. Thank you very much, and may God bless you.